Chalet, and if required, Oregon. Of course, so much on the line though, Guz, as we begin what is essentially the gauntlet run from lower bracket, round 1, and they have to now try and make it all the way to the lower bracket final. It has been done though. Cyclops did it in stage 1. FAV will be looking to emulate that.
It's very much going to be a tough and difficult run, and especially for the likes of Kira, who heading into this matchup coming from, or hailing from the South Asia region, do have the odds stacked against them, but who knows? I still genuinely believe they are a really good shout in this matchup. Now, of course, with Shin coming back in, as we believe he was working earlier in the afternoon, who knows? Maybe FAV can really step it up to another level. In terms of the attack bans, Thatcher Flora is taken off the board first. Pretty on meta at the moment, and will make it a little bit more challenging for the attack to clear utility.
Do you think that's a good enough excuse to be working? I don't know if I can give a pass for that one. How dare you?
Welcome to APAC, mate. We're not exactly on the 6-figure salaries down here, so, you know, you got to make a living.
Yeah, look, obviously it was spoken about on the desk. Shin coming back in is going to be pretty big. FAV as a team actually are very team-orientated. You're not going to really see too much of a difference between, say, their best player and their worst player. They are very much a core 5, and we saw that in Stage 2 in the APAC North Division. Mira going to be the final banner, along with the Kaid. And Kira are going to be on the defense first. FAV will be attacking. I think looking back at the wonderful James Devmata sheet, the master sheet, I'll give him credit for it. I think Villa's not too bad for FAV, though. Maybe it got overlooked a little bit, but they'll be more than happy with this one. But the next one to come as well, I don't think Chalet's going to be too bad either. They honestly, what, 4-2 for a map that doesn't get played that often? Obviously, we know that the South Asian teams have been playing a lot of Chalet. We've seen it for Kira, we've seen it for Mercenaries. They're going to be pretty happy with that one. Kira was the team that beat Cyclops in Stage 1 on Chalet as well, so obviously looking to bring that back out. But I think FAV will be more than comfortable here on Villa. I think they should win this 7-3, and then I think they'll win Chalet 7-3 as well.
But I mean, we got to remember, FAV are only playing this match in the bottom bracket, or the lower bracket, because they lost Villa 5-7 against QC. So you got to say they definitely got.
They actually both lost Villa, by the way.
Yeah, there's some bravery here from FAV to go back to the map that they lost. I guess they are confident in their ability still on this map and have identified some of the issues in that matchup and can improve upon those heading into this one against Kira. But could you imagine a world where FAV lose their map pick and all the pressure is against them, and we'll be sitting here wondering, wow, why did they send us back to Villa? They lost it earlier in the afternoon. But again, that's a hypothetical, and we'll probably find out about 45 minutes or not whether or not that will be the case. But a very interesting storyline to follow, and FAV and the map veto definitely playing quite brave.
Yeah, and obviously for FAV it was a pretty close loss, right? 7-5, whereas Kira really got put to the sword by Damwon 7-2, losing out on Villa. That was earlier this afternoon, and of course things changed pretty quickly in Siege, and I still think FAV would be coming into this one favoured, for sure. I know that you're kind of backing in Kira, but if they are going to do it, I think it's probably going to have to be Chalet and Oregon. Kira on the defense first, though. If they can get off to a good start, get a couple of rounds, get a bit of momentum, certainly will be ideal.
Aggressive extension here from Kira over towards the northern side. Keep in mind this is an AVG defense, but with some guns on this side of the map, they can stall the map sweep from the attack. That said, it's only momentary. The team now falling back, and Envy playing down below inside of Sheets with some assistance over towards Blank on the red stairs. That is an obstacle that FAV will need to overcome, probably next on their agenda, considering they've now entered in towards Astro Trophy and Stat. Control obtained, and not much in the way of resistance.
Yeah, pretty good timing as well. Gonna be the second EE1D from Taipon. No confrontation yet. But such is usually the nature of best of threes. It can take a little while before we see things really open up. First couple of rounds can be quite stagnant. Still a minute and a half to go, but this is pretty stock standard right now from FAV Gaming. And Shim will drop down. Does have to be careful of Envy, though, who is roaming down below. That's going to be the third and final EE1D from Taipon now.
Envy over towards Astro, droned out. Shin looking to follow that up and find a pick, but that player can retreat down below towards the back stairs and take down that drone in the process. Only 4 remaining here for FAV, and it has been a slow wind-up in this round. FAV do consider themselves as to not necessarily maybe be as structured as others would be led to believe, but we are seeing them play this one quite slowly. A number 2 falls off the rotate right at the wrong time as Envy looks to retake the top of Red Stairs. Oh, a strong stack over towards Brown Stairs, trying to contest the push inside of the library. Number 2, though, wins out that fight with the G36. And that's a solid start here for FAV.
It's a lot of presence, though, from FAV down below. Of course, remembering this is an AVG site, 30 seconds left. Ooh, they will be able to get back upstairs pretty quickly. Afro, nice kill onto Slayer. That's not so good from number 2, though. With a team kill onto Shin. Might just open things back up for Kira. And his Death of Martin, along with the flank from Envy, now gives Kira the advantage here with 15 seconds left in the opening round. Typon as well gets eliminated, and this has just fallen by the wayside for FAV Gaming. Afro can't make anything happen. And Kira take the first round.
Solid couple of picks there from a FAV. Well played there by Kira. In round number 1, FAV trying to go for a map sweep. Then they got caught trying to catch some of those roamers off on the rotates. In doing so, they burnt time. They didn't really gain many positions worthwhile for an execute. And then it really did begin to fall apart. They also didn't have flank watch necessarily established either, or at least flank watch that was not acted upon. We saw Envy, for example, flank up Brown Stairs, which really was the nail in the coffin for the opening round. And that's a really good start for Kira.
Yeah, I don't think FAV did too much wrong there. Obviously had a lot in mind with trying to flush out the roamer down below. Even got the first 2 picks, I think, along with a team kill, which that was obviously not ideal. But so much of the focus was on that first floor rather than, say, over towards AVG. So by the time you've got like 20 seconds left, guys, and you start actually pushing over to the site, Kira actually well situated on site defensively for that eventual push. And that's basically what we ended up seeing was FAV just come onto the site at the last second and just get lit up. Well played by Kira Esports, though. Basically, from start to finish, it was a pretty well-structured round, all things considered. You know, you've got to remember, this is the APAC region, guys. Sometimes you got to expect the unexpected, but that was pretty structured.
Yeah, for sure. Really well played there for Kira, who, coming into this event, I would argue, are the strongest team from South Asia. Now, of course, Mercenary is still making that run against Fnatic. That is ongoing off-stream. So we'll try and keep everyone updated as to how that match progresses. But again, Kira heading into this looking very, very strong. Their form through the closed quals, which is the bracket format that the South Asia teams compete through to make it to the playoffs. They were very, very dominant and, in fact, really were, I guess, a whole nother league even above Mercenaries. So they are probably the best hope for South Asia. And yes, a long road ahead of them if they want to try and make that lower bracket run. But that's why I have faith in this matchup. I still genuinely believe they can take down FAV.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that as well, because twice now, stage 1, stage 2, it's Mercenaries that has been able to win out and technically get that first spot. But I feel like, obviously, in stage 1, Kira Esports took a little bit more of the spotlight in their performance and how they were able to achieve a few things. And stage 2 could end up playing out the same way if they can cause an upset here, because so far, things not going too well for Mercenaries over in that Fnatic match. They actually just lost 7-2 on Coastline, so that's not ideal start for them in their best of 3. We'll see whether or not Kira can be a hopeful force for South Asia. Off to a good start, at least in the opening round, but a long way to go as the E1D from Typon will be deployed. Minute 47, and again, probably similar to the opening round. We might just see this one be a slow burner.
Only 6 drones remaining here for the attack as Shin looks to take control inside of Kitchen. Keep in mind, Shin working earlier this afternoon did not play in their first matchup, and we thought that maybe that was quite costly for them. So I guess now really no excuses for FAV with their full strength lineup now available. Grenade gets cooked from down below, but a FAV not near that, so he'll survive. Elsewhere, the team trying to maybe get an entry point in towards bedroom, but Slayer over towards brick stores. Definitely proving to be a bit of a menace.
Yeah, this is what Kira Esports need to achieve here against FAV. They need to really stand up in their face. They need to be aggressive and look for these peaks, just like Death of Mar was able to do. Hathav as well, and suddenly Kira Esports got a 3-man advantage. Typon's taken down as well. What a flawless round from Kira Esports. What a way to start this best of 3 on the map pick of FAV as well.
This is a scary start. You think about it just in isolation. Had this have been maybe, let's just say in a theoretical world, this was a best of one, we would be sweating bullets already here for FAV, considering they should be strong favorites heading into this matchup. But you add on the fact that this is their map pick, things start to get maybe even a little bit more scary, and we start asking the questions of, should FAV have headed to this map? They lost it against Q Confirmed only a couple of hours ago. Now, again, long way to go, but early signs here are not very positive. FAV are really, really struggling. They're trying to play for map control, try and gain it in towards bedroom. That didn't quite work out. They didn't have time or the resources to then rotate over towards study and AVG side and maybe head an attack from there. We saw the defense of Kira running around quite wildly, a little bit sporadic, but it worked. They found picks, and any of the dangerous plays that threatened their defense from being dislodged were shut down. No response, no trades from FAV. Concerning signs here to start things out.
Yeah, and even more concerning as well, in that earlier match this afternoon between Q Confirm and FAV Gaming, it was a 3-3 first half. That was when FAV was on the attack. They didn't obviously have a very good defense either, because they ended up losing 7-5, so they only would have got the 2 defensive rounds. So,
and just to butt in, the main reason that I believe FAV were even a chance of being that close in that matchup was number 2. Remember, he was in the double digits so early in that matchup. I can't remember how many he got in the end. I'd be tipping to say it was close to like, what, 13 plus-ish, around that region. He was just entering on Nook and going absolutely insane, particularly through executes. He was finding multi-kills like they were going out of season. So maybe that matchup shouldn't have even been that close. And if number 2 or someone else can't step up here again in this matchup, Kira start to position themselves really nicely.
I will say for Kira, though, in their earlier match against Damwon, it was their attacking that let them down, or I guess vice versa. It was Damwon Gaming's actual defense. They had a 5-1 defensive half, and Kira couldn't break that down. So for Kira, you know, we maybe don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, guys. We need to see them on the attack at some point. But obviously, if they can get off to a good start, build a good lead here in the first half, it puts all the pressure onto FAV, especially considering this is their map pick. And we do expect good things from Kira over on Chalet to follow after this. So some expectations here, and a bit of a rush this time from FAV. Atharv immediately blindsided by number 2 with a nice headshot from behind. This is going to be a quick rush and a quick plant.
Slayer with a shotgun inside of Laundry won't really be met with much pressure. Kitchen control fully obtained here, and the plant is stuck. FAV have 5 to try and hold the post.
35 seconds here in the post plant. Slayer with a nice headshot, but Afro is able to get at least a trade. Keeps things in the advantage for FAV, but not for too much longer. Envy with a nice retrade as well. Number 2, though, with a nice angle. And Slayer's taken off the board, and suddenly FAV with a 3 versus 1 advantage. And suddenly, guys, things just look a little bit better in the FAV camp.
Much better round here from FAV, and as those seconds tick down, it will be confirmed by number 2. Much more confident there from FAV. That's what we need to see from them in this matchup. The first 2 rounds were slow. They didn't gain map control. They weren't finding picks. But on that occasion, they seized upon an opportunity. They saw the weakness in the armor there for Kira, and they just capitalized upon it. They pounced on it. They showed no signs of backing down. They committed to the plant, and they got the job done.
Yeah, and just in case there is any confusion, this is, of course, a best of 3. So even if Kira get off to that amazing start, and even if there's signs of distress, guys, you gotta remember that this is going to be a marathon, this particular match, right? It's not just a best of 1. It doesn't just come down to a few lucky rounds. It is going to be a marathon between these 2 teams, and that's at least what you kind of hope and expect. Kira Esports certainly are a team more than capable of pushing FAV Gaming the distance, and they've shown it in the first 2 rounds, but that was much better from FAV. Well calculated, well executed as well, and even when Kira started to come back, find a few picks, look for that post-plant retake, FAV was still in those really good positions, able to hit those shots, maintain that round advantage the whole way through. They get 1 on the board. Suddenly things aren't so doom and gloom.
Yeah, it would have been very concerning had they lost 3 in a row, but the fact that they were able to win a round, and they did it in such decisive fashion, it was such a contrast to the first 2 rounds, I think is a really positive sign for them going forward, and I'm sure they'll be looking to steamroll that a little bit, and I would only assume that from here on out we are going to see a much more aggressive FAV. They're not going to mess around too much, trying to slowly obtain map control and chase down roamers and confirm flanks. They're probably just going to try and hit hard and not really give Kira that opportunity to bounce back within a round itself. Try and keep them on their toes and really try and focus hard to get the opening pick. Afro lands some shots onto Blank, but it's not enough to confirm that kill.
Afro definitely the danger player for FAV as well. At least in stage 2, ended up having a plus 16 KD, plus 2 on entry. The highest rated player for FAV. One player that they're definitely going to look to make things happen against this stalwart defense of Kira. And the good thing for Kira is that they're a team that's going to be able to adjust on the fly. Okay, FAV get that really fast-paced plant in the last round. They're not going to allow that to happen multiple times. So FAV gets that one. Now they're going to go back to doing it stock standard way. And this is where Kira is going to be really happy.
Kira haven't really even had to do a whole lot in this round, and we're almost at the halfway point with FAV still trying to gain map control. They're being conservative, trying to make sure that it is clear, drone it out, use the Dockerby calls as well to aid in the clear. Some good intel there with the black eyes from Envy. Ping goes out for a pre-placed Nitro cell. That could come in handy, especially when FAV start to take control of 90, or at least attempt to. Oh, look at that intel. That is so massive for Kira if they can play off it properly.
Yeah, but it's going to be FAV who get the opening pick, but at least traded back immediately by Envy, who's 4-1 off to a perfect start, but immediately Caster Curse dies to number 2. Another trade, though, and this has been a common theme in this matchup already. Both teams being able to at least capitalize and get these trades so that no team is up 5-3 or 5-2 for very long. It's 3 versus 3. 50 seconds remaining in this 4th round. Blank, though, at half health. Inside Avian. Oh, the nade. He couldn't get past it and away from it in time. Advantage FAV, though, with 40 seconds left.
It's a huge nade from number 2. Of course, clears the shield, but also aids in finding that pick. It'll be up to a FAV inside of Study to try and halt that push in towards Model, but instead he rotates, scared of Brown Stairs, which Slayer, in fact, was covering, but nonetheless, awkward positions that these defenders find themselves in, and now Slayer needs to clutch up.
Yeah, FAV's going to get this plant down. It's a 3v1. Does have the ping, does have information, now does have the headshot, and 40 seconds of time is a pretty decent amount of time for Slayer to work with here. Plant down. Oh, the air trap, though. That is so unideal. Well played, though, by FAV. And they, at the very least, do tie it up 2-2 off the back of a really fast and awesome start from Kira. FAV, though, are not going to be a pushover team.
Yeah, a really good response there, and it starts to paint a bit of a brighter picture of things were not looking good at the start of this matchup, but FAV have been able to correct things. And I think evidence of that was really that fantastic play from number 2 with the grenade. I was literally just about to comment on how important that shield was in being able to hold on for that defensive round win for Kira. And I was also going to note that number 2 had the nade to clear it. And basically, right when that thought popped into my head, it also did in his. He cleared it, got the pick, or got the down at least. And it made things very, very awkward for Kira, who was stumbling, trying to cover so many different entry points there late into that round. And honestly, probably still winnable there in the late round, but really good pressure from FAV, and they're showing that they can close out these rounds.
And it's 2-2 now. Suddenly, this is why you can never get too overexcited off the back of the opening round or even the opening 2 rounds, guys. You know, it might take a team sometimes a couple of rounds or even a whole first half to just sort of get situated, especially when you're attacking. Sometimes your attacking plans don't always play out the way you would like. They don't, not quite executed to the best degree, but this is so far turning out to be a really good match to watch. Kira, by no means, are going to be a pushover in this series, but FAV, if they can find that momentum, if they can find, you know, this form that they've been able to now achieve in the last 2 rounds, it is hard to, of course, then see them not winning from here. Oh, Envy, this is very aggressive, though, and it works out perfectly. Well, that's the way to start the 5th round here for Kira Esports, and they get a 5 versus 4 advantage. They take Afro off the board, who's, at the moment, struggling a little bit, 2-5.
That's the aggression, really, that South Asia is renowned for. It's unpredictable, it's difficult to read, and trying to counter it can sometimes be so challenging. So, if you're a South Asia fan, you'll be smiling at the start of this round because it's an indication that Kira are not backing down. They want to try and play their style of Siege, which, yes, may not be the most consistent, and if FAV are really on their toes, it could be shut down, but confidence in Siege is so potent. And Kira will be looking to mount as many rounds as possible. This isn't their map pick, so the pressure arguably alleviated a little bit.
2-man advantage now for Kira early on as well in this 5th round. Just shows that how comfortable they are. They're not going to be dismayed by the situation they find themselves in coming into the playoffs versus these APAC teams. They consider themselves equal. They're playing like it at the moment as well. Typon with the E1D, but Envy is waiting and watching. Oh, the slow walking from Typon gets shut down. What is K-Razor even doing? Just did not even look to their left. What a round, though, from Kira Esports. Aggression gets rewarded with the round win, and they take 3 rounds in this opening half at minimum.
Yeah, disappointing conclusion to the round there for FAV, looking a little bit lost on the execute, but I mean, rightly so, under a lot of pressure. The first 2 picks there from Kira basically sealed the round. From there, they just closed up shop. They parked the bus, however many different words you want to use to describe the conclusion of that round. They closed it out in a confident fashion, and this does begin to tighten up the map even further. And again, it is important to remember that this is a FAV map pick. So we are expecting them, not only because they are the favorites in this matchup, but because it is their map pick, to show signs of winning it. But at the moment, very difficult to split these two.
Yeah, and it's going to be that classic case. We need to see the second half. We need to see these 2 teams switch sides before we can make really any sort of conclusive evidence. Because it is so close in this first half. Kira, though, with an amazing opportunity that if they can win this 6th round, they can go up 4-2 against FAV, against an APAC North team. And what is, of course, just the opening map of this best of 3, but it is, as you mentioned, Guz, FAV's map pick. And Kira are definitely out swinging here because even though they're on the defense, they are the ones that are making things happen. They're the aggressives. They are proactive. They are trying to gain an ascendancy, and they're executing it really well. FAV are on the back foot right now. They need to somehow, and even though they're on the attack, somehow start making some things happen here.
Envy breaking down the barricade, looking for a run out. Another small pick,
it!
and he hits it onto K-Razor. It's a huge pick, but he gets traded back, or at least down, Shin, to finish that off. But that is the hard breach kill. That is such a massive pick of everyone that he could have killed on that spawn pick. That's probably the worst for FAV.
Yeah. Well said, well spotted, and well killed by Envy. 4 versus 4. As you pointed out, guys, it's probably a trade that Kira would have loved to have made, and they've been able to do that. And it sets them up well to take a 4-2 lead here inside of the first half. Do not want to count out FAV Gaming. They've got a lot of time that they can adapt and be versatile on the fly here to rectify things even without the hard breach. There's a lot of time that they can really work with.
And the question will be, does FAV try and change things up? Trying to get through bedroom might be tough, but I guess they could try and go for Astro. Clearing the brick shield is important, and they do at least achieve that, so not the end of the world. But getting those lines of sight across the objective in towards Trophy now is going to be impossible, because there's literally no hard breach. So very rough position that FAV find themselves in, well and truly on the back foot. Sure, it is a 4v4, but on the balance of utility, things not looking great. This is where we need to see good teams step up, and if FAV are a serious contender, this is the sort of round where they need to show what they're made of.
And even if it's not this round, it has to be the second half.
Oh, the ADS! That was so clutch.
Blank did not even blink.
He was standing on it, so I didn't see it. I thought he was dead. Whew.
Still 1 minute and 7 seconds left in this round. Final round of the first half. Slayer. Oh, inside a stat. He's got a good angle here. Lands a bit of a damage. Blow. Number 2. Very careful when you're peeking that doorway. Slayer is almost going to get that kill. Now he does. Now he can lock it up. There's another player there as well. Gets the red ping. Knows there's a second. FAV, though, now making a 2 versus 2. Shin's going for the plant. Afro has to cover. And now he will do it successfully. 3 for the round. Shin will get the plant down. And Athav is now in a 1 versus 2.
Tries to reposition over towards top red. Shotgun in hand, but he swings with the SMG. Lands those shots. Shin with 60 HP inside of Bedroom needs to hold
made the
down the
cross.
fort, but he allows a FAV to swing. It doesn't matter though. He still cleans it up and wins the round.
Okay, he did say in that little sliver of a pixel in the doorway, he did actually see he made the cross. I thought maybe for a split second, he might have just missed that one. And had he, probably would have lost it. 3-3. What a first half. You can't split them, Guz. Not even on the scoreboard you can split them. It's a 3-3 first half, which is... I don't know who's in favor of that. Do you give it to Kira Esports simply because they're the underdog or not?
I would have expected FAV to probably ascertain at least a one-round lead, considering it is their map pick. But again, they're on attack, so can't be too critical. Pardon me, as Thatcher and Flores were taken off the board. And honestly, after the back of that 6th round, the final of the half, their ability to bounce back from a really potentially tilting spawn peak onto your one and only hard breacher, to bring that back and frag it out, cover the post plant the way they did, really, really good signs. I'm sure they'll be quite pleased with that result. Sure, they might not be overly thrilled the fact that they're 3-3 against Kira, but it would have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse for them.
And they already know what a lot worse as well Villa is after the earlier meeting with Damwon Kia, where they lost 7-2 on Villa. Then had one attacking round win, one defensive round win, Guz. So they've already improved on that, at least against FAV here. 3-3 first half. Now they go on the attack, which if I'm going to say anything here, the way that they were playing off their defense, and obviously it's completely different sides, obviously, but they were the ones that were being aggressive. They can bring that same mentality, that same level of execution over to their attacking half. I don't see why Kira can't go on and take this map.
100%. If they play confidently here, then we may well see a replication. But initiating things on attack can be very, very tricky, and sometimes teams can fail to adapt on the fly. I think a key indicator is going to be how quickly they get map control here, right? Last time, or frequently we saw from FAV on their attacks, despite there not really being much contention outside of maybe a couple of nitro cells from below, it was pretty slow. So if Kira can speed things up and allow themselves more time to apply pressure on the site itself and be better prepared for any potential flanks, then I don't see any reason why they couldn't look a little bit better here.
Yeah, and having the Jackal as well will definitely help speed things up. Slayer, you can see they're going through closets, make their way over towards Astro. Now they can start seeing those tracks around Stat Trophy. So a really good, nice, clean, quick start as well for Kira getting in. Eventually they will have to, of course, watch out for any of these roamers. Shin. Oh. Sometimes the positioning and the timing in this game, it is just millimeters and seconds away. Afro. Over towards the top of Red Stairs, goes for a bit of a wallbang. Now he gets some actual visual information.
Bomb located by attackers.
Red Stairs, such a stronghold in the current meta. We're seeing more and more teams, more and more regions. Just sit someone here on the defense. Very similar to the Brown Stairs defense, as it really does prevent this northern push from being successful. Doesn't really give you the freedom to go down 90 because Afro can just pop his head up and shoot those players in the back of their head. So it's up to Kira to show that initiation, try and get this pick on the board. Number 2, I believe, is aiding from that 90 hatch. So a bit of a crossfire here they need to contend with, as well as that yokai drone on the roof, feeding the defense all this information.
Yeah, and a very defensive setup as well from FAV. They're not looking to do anything too tricky. They're not looking to make too many massive plays, but there's a team kill. That's a second one in this entire match so far for FAV. Kira now with a 3 versus 2 advantage with 50 seconds left in the round as well. A bit of a capitulation here from FAV defensively.
Slayer, though, is stuck on that 90 repel. He'll be looking to get in on the ASAP. Unfortunately for him, with the defenders rotating back towards site, that will be a reality very shortly if he so desires. 35 seconds on the board, and Shin's side of study has been droned out. That's a long angle that he doesn't really want to fight against. He'll still contest it. He knows that he needs to, but it's not a favored gunfight.
20 seconds remaining in the opening round of the second half. Oh, the shot through. Perfect Slayer. That's nice, but Afro, he's got Diffuser down on the floor as well behind him, pushes out, expecting someone to come, and he was coming. It's blank with a big headshot, and the lead has been regained for Kira Esports.
Oh, he just sees the elbow. That is so close. You were saying earlier, Jake, that Siege can be a game of milliseconds, millimeters, and that 1v1 at the end there, well and truly probably decided that matchup. I mean, obviously it did. I mean, what a stupid comment that is. But had Afro had maybe swung a millisecond earlier and found that pick, he would have won the round. He had the kit over towards 90, and the second attacker was way off over towards Study's side. So that would have been so hard for Kira to bring back. So that's a huge one to win there for Kira, who, yes, they had the advantage quite early off the back of the team kill, but that was like, bang. That was their initiation to go, and they went, which is really good to see. We saw the Slayer rotation over towards Study, which was huge as well. Remember, he was back over towards 90, so he traveled a long, long way to get it to that 3v1 and really lock in that round. So good signs from Kira on their first attack.
And we see that so often as well. We call them kind of like coin flip moments or 50-50 moments where it could kind of go either way. In best of ones, obviously it dictates the outcome quite significantly, but in a best of 3, when you got 3 maps to decide it all, that one specific little moment, which we're going to have a couple of those throughout a best of 3, it doesn't quite have as much of an impact as it, say, would in a best of 1. If you have just 2 of those moments in a best of 1, that's the difference, and you'd be then looking at like 5-3 with Kira leading, needing only then 2 more rounds to go. So it shows how quickly things can change by winning those coin flip moments, which there probably hasn't been too many of in this game. That may have actually been one of the first ones, but Kira able to capitalize. Now can they seize a bit of momentum here and try and regain a 2-round lead that they had earlier on in this game before FAV started to bring it back. And also, can I just say, FAV now with 2 team kills, guys. Not a good start to the lower bracket run.
No, not the kind of stat you want in the kill column. An aggressive extension here from FAV, though, inside of AVG, keeping in mind this is a trophy and stat defense. That's way on the other side of the map, but Kira, with confidence, looking to try and dislodge that. Aggressive take of Study, and Blank gets lit up. Shin is a pest inside of Vault, but Slayer gets the opening pick. It's another strong start for Kira.
Attackers recovered the defuse.
Yeah, and this is now turning into a trend. Unfortunately for FAV, they just keep losing these opening picks to Kira, and it's Kira that are making these plays happen. Afro goes for one, bang! It was Typon who actually got one, though, onto Slayer. You know, you throw 2, you get 1, you're happy with that. That works fine for FAV, and now number 2 with a nice headshot onto Athab as well. And FAV just trying to bring this back here because the momentum is definitely winding over towards Kira, and they need a very strong defensive round here, which is looking like it will shape up to be that way with a minute and a half remaining.
They have intel here on this position on Envy. You can see it right now, number 2, watching that camera very intently. And I don't think the attack's going to spot it, so that is very compromising here for Kira. Sun was used to try and clear out Bark. Again, this is not the objective, but Kira trying to find this pick, equalize the man count.
A little shoulder peek from Afro, trying to just get a bit of information. Number 2, that's a big 1v1. Envy, though, wins it out clutch, and then he pushes into games, and he gets a second. But he's going to need 2 more. 9 and 4 right now for Envy, who has been amazing, has been immense, and has 50 seconds to maybe be the hero that Kira need. It is certainly possible with a bit of time here, but he will have to move quickly.
A lot of intel available here. You can see Fav sitting on that utility, and K-Razor, of course, can use those Yokais. Doable here for Envy in the 1v2, but obviously will be tough.
Razor and Typon as well, not giving him an inch. And now they get a bit of information as well from that Yokai drone. Envy has to just keep moving now. 15 seconds left into red time, pushing into Astro. Could be a chance if they're close. He doesn't spot the player behind the desk. Razor up close as well with that shotgun. Will signal his death, and that is now going to be a tied score once again, Guz. It's 4-4.
Tactical timeout there taken by, it was Kira, I believe?
Yep.
So looking to lock that in, and a good opportunity for them to reassess their options. And as you mentioned earlier, typically in a best of 1, coin flip moments can really determine the result of a matchup. And honestly, that last round was probably another coin flip. Really, really closely fought there inside of AVG on the other side of the map. Unfortunately for Kira, Death Amar dropped on the other side of the map. I assume that was him trying to enter towards Trophy, which didn't work out for him. Had he have been with the rest of the team over towards AVG, could have been a slightly different result, but who knows. I think that with so much util up on the board, especially those Yokais available to FAV on the defense, any clutch there against information was going to be near impossible for Kira. So a rough position that they found themselves in, but entertaining for us. I thought this was probably going to be a close best of 3, but now it's actually feeling like a reality.
Yeah. Yeah, and any information there at the end basically makes that impossible. As soon as they spot him coming in through that Yokai drone, you can just see them immediately adjust inside of Astro. Perfectly played in the end from FAV. They didn't panic in that 2v1 and didn't allow Envy any sort of chance of being able to do anything too heroic. And a 4-4 scoreline, though, I think is very just as to how this game has played out so far inside the opening 8 rounds. But it's a big-time moment coming up now for Kira, and I think this is a good tactical timeout. You know, I always love to see when teams take the timeouts, probably the right times. Don't allow that scoreboard to blow out. Don't allow, you know, them to get a bit of momentum. It's 4-4. You're a couple of rounds away from maybe being able to achieve match point. Take a breather. You're in this game. It's a close one. Everything's going well. Just have to fine-tune a few things, and they can definitely win it. So a really good tactical timeout from Kira has been used. Of course, FAV will still have one more.
And it's felt like so far we've sort of perpetuated the storyline that this is a really close matchup. And honestly, I think all of the stats that we do have available to us would also confirm that, right? For the scoreline, I mean, that's an obvious one. But outside of that, look how many, firstly, assists are across the board here, meaning that everyone is really having a contribution and working together to find picks. Outside of that, we aren't seeing a single player, outside of, you know, maybe Envy if you want to make a stretch, really stepping up here and having like a super enormous game. Remember, cast our minds back to the FAV match earlier. Number 2 was triple the kills of everyone in the lobby early on and continued that form. Whereas in this matchup, very much even across all 10 players. No one here is carrying the load by any stretch, and we've seen that played out across the map. Both teams going for sweeps, both teams trading out picks, and just so hard to call.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I was mentioning before with FAV, is they don't have that clear standout. The closest you're going to get is Afro with a plus 16 KD over the course of the Stage 2 regular season, but number 2 is actually the number 2 as well with a plus 11. But it's a very close-knit team in terms of their contributions across the board for FAV. And Kira seemingly playing in a very similar manner as well, as you said, besides probably Envy 9 and 5. I think everyone, though, is really having a very impactful game from Kira Esports, and that's exactly what they're going to need going up against a team like FAV. You need all 5 of your players. You can't just allow 1 or 2 to carry the rest. You need a full 5-man team effort if you're going to beat FAV. And right now, at least over the first 8 rounds, it feels like it's been that way from Kira.
Messy engagement over towards Red. Typhon getting pinched from down below and up above with utility. Gets some assistance. A FAV needs to be careful of that, but he swings. Does he get traded? No! He manages to find both. Afro. As he said, you put the Mickey on him. The top-rated player for FAV can't hit a simple trade. That's an unfortunate result there for FAV. It leaves them in the 2v4.
Yeah, and this is just now, again, Kira winning out a lot of these ones, and in these cases, 1v2s. I think FAV are playing the objectives really well, but when it comes down to the gunfights, Kira are actually, honestly, outgunning them. Number 2 and Razor are going to have to pull off something miraculous here, because there's still a 55-second timer on the board. Kira's got a 2-man advantage. Surely they win it from here, although Blank's actually just been taken down. Not out, though. Needs to be revived. Oh, number 2, that's an easy kill. Yeah, all this could really swing this round now.
Have 5 drones available here, Kira, with so much time. There's really no excuse. FAV does find that player inside a trophy. He's going to go for the solo kill. This could be a monumental part of the round, and FAV finds his 3rd, leaving K-Razor all alone.
Nice shot, though, onto Athav. Blank. Deathamar, though, in a 2 versus 1 against Razor, who's well positioned, but Deathamar bringing death and destruction towards FAV Gaming. It's a 5-4 lead here on Villa. They edge that little bit closer to match point.
And Deathamar there rocking the Fnatic skins, so a cheeky segue there into the result, or the ongoing result of the other matchup, so block your ears if you don't want to hear it. But we are in the 2nd map for the Fnatic versus Mercenaries best of 3, and I have on good word that Fnatic are leading that second map of Consulate 4-2 at the moment, keeping in mind that they currently have a 1-0 lead in that series. Only a couple of rounds away from securing that lower bracket, and I believe if you want to watch that match, it's over on Rainbow Six KR. So go say hello to the Korean crew if you wish to see that match.
Yeah, but stay here as well.
You can have them both up.
Yeah.
Multi-Twitch.
Exactly. And honestly, right now, you probably don't want to be missing much of this game, guys, because it is back and forth as back and forth can be. 5-4, Kira. Of course, they've got that underdog status, and you know, as Australians, we always love an underdog, and to see them do well, and it's enriching to see Kira Esports performing this way here on Villa on FAV's map pick. You know, the pressure's all on FAV to perform here. And if they find themselves facing adversity, it's pretty easy to crumble under the pressure. So it will show us what this team is made of. They're getting tested right now. They're getting pushed to the limits here by Kira Esports. Can FAV respond?
FAV is a long-standing name here in competitive Siege, but they haven't quite been able to reach the heights of some of the other teams in APAC when you think about your Fanatics or your Norangos or your Aerowolves, for example. They just haven't quite been there. They've always just lagged behind some of the other Japanese teams and now the APAC North teams, but they have an opportunity now to make a bit of a statement. But I think it's fair to say their backs are slowly creeping up to the back of the wall. Not quite pressing against it yet, but this has been far from a confident start or confident first 9 rounds on their map pick. They don't want the pressure of this match going to overtime.
What do we have here?
Yeah, and it's always been Kira, whether it's on the defense or on the attack, that's been the aggressors, that is finding these opening picks, that is usually the one setting the tone and the pacing for these rounds. And when you get these opening picks, it just makes everything else that little bit easier. Having that man advantage. Some rounds, though, there has been trades, in fairness, but I think FAV usually are winning these rounds when they're just not having to lose that player early. And we're not really seeing FAV push out too much either, guys. They're not the ones looking to find picks. They're the ones sitting back waiting for Kira to come.
Minute 30 left in the round. Afro down below in basement. The rotation highway here on Villa, but it's elsewhere where the first pick is found. K-Razor over towards 90 as Envy finds one back. So it is a 4v4. A lot of pressure over towards this red stairs position. FAV thinking about the flank. Defamar, does he know? Does he care? I think he just wants to try and hold this position down because it is so critical.
Advantage for FAV. Coming up on 50 seconds remaining here in the 10th round. First map of this best of 3 in the lower bracket. Kira going to have to get moving, though, with the players that they got remaining. Afro still hasn't been cleared out down below, and Big FAV definitely well situated here for this defensive hold.
K-Razor boosted up on the bar and used the chassis to his advantage, but Afar finds one. It's a swing from Shin. Doesn't quite land as he only has the SMG in hand. This will be a tough execute with 20 left.
Yeah, but it's doable. Thav, though, very, very low. Slayer half health. Typon, you're going to take the shot when you get it, and he does. A needed shot as well. Shin with a Nitrocell, but it misses the mark. 5 seconds left, though. Envy has to just push in now and go for that plant. Nice cover, though, from Athav. He allows this plant to go down by hitting that shot. Shin, swing. Doesn't get the stop onto Envy, but they get his bodyguard, and now they get him. And it will be 5-5 after 10 rounds has concluded.
Another good response there from FAV, keeping themselves in this matchup. They did a really good job, particularly mid-round, to shut down the foothold over towards the top of red stairs. A couple of key picks gave them that man advantage, and yeah, things got a little bit dicey there, but they had already inflicted enough damage in that mid-round to confidently shut down, particularly Athav there, covering effectively what was a 1v2. Another pause in the match. I can only assume it's a FAV tack in response.
Well, I mean, who else is good? We didn't call it.
Well, I wouldn't mind calling a little bit of a breaker. Take a breath.
Look, and I think it's a good one. I think it's a good one as well. Kind of similar to when Kira took their tactical timeout. You know, it was, what, 4-4, now it's 5-5. You kind of want to get them in early before the damage has already been done. You know, it's 5-5. Okay, we won that round. It was still kind of sloppy, though, from FAV. Like, it wasn't clean. And there's things that they can still improve on, and they would definitely know that. You don't want to then allow Kira to get that match point before you then take that timeout. You can now get the timeout out of the way, come out of the timeout, which most teams typically come out of a timeout after they've called it, and they usually win the round. It just, for whatever reason, you know, usually how it plays out. You get that match point, and then you put the doubt into Kira, who won't have a tactical timeout for themselves. I think this is really well done from FAV. And if they pinch this 7-5, oh, that would just be heartbreaking for Kira, because they've just been so fantastic here on Villa. But we've seen it how many times, guys, where these matches are close. It's 5-5, and then one team just gets 2 in a row, and it's it, and it's over.
Oh, wow. FAV have played this 6-pick phase so well. Number 2 revealed the Valk, switched to the Frost, and that, in response, has baited Slayer into picking the IQ, which now, it won't necessarily be completely useless. You still have those Yokai drones to worry about there from K-Razor, who's also running the Supernova shotgun, which is pretty spicy, and there are other pieces of utility. So, yes, IQ maybe not as potent with Valk not being on the board, but will still have an impact. Outside of that, FAV also sticking the Clash. Now, this is the first time we're going to see Clash in play between these two. Not exactly sure where Shin is thinking about posting up, but that is, I guess, another hurdle that the attack will need to overcome.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds to go.
So we come down to this 11th round.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
See which team can walk away with match point. Stat trophy defense here as well for FAV. Will the Clash play a big play in this round as well? Maybe late in the round. It can also be very effective early on in the round as well to stop them from basically just walking in.
I guess Shin doesn't want to contest it like he did last time. Keeping in mind he was trapped inside of Vault and was shut down quite swiftly last time Kira went for this style of attack. So with the Clash Shield, he can play, I guess, even more aggressive, but not really under threat of dying unless the utility is perfect. Afro.
Oh my
Afro.
God.
Slayer. What an entry with the G38. Can't even get my words out, but it was a great pick there to kick things off.
On the IQ as well. And just talk about walking straight onto site and finding an easy early kill. Advantage Kira. And how about one more? It's a 5 versus 3, 11th round for Kira. And they could be moments away from map point. Of course, not quite technically series point or anything like that, but heading into Chalet up 1-0 would be amazing for the Kira Esports fans.
I know why I stumbled. It's G8, not G38, so I don't know what I'm on. But anyway, moving forward. These Yokai drones, we saw them so scary for Kira.
Attackers drop the defuse.
Can Slayer with the scanner, the electronic scanner on his wrist, maybe find those and drop them. Number 2, stuck inside of Closet. If he gets isolated, they lose this round. If he can pop off, FAV are still a chance.
It's a lot of pressure on number 2. 50 seconds remaining. Shin's being taken down. That's the Clash on the floor. And looking to flush out number 2. Oh, they had no idea, though. Hathar literally just walks underneath his scope. First kill of the round, but it's the last for Kira. Match point here on Villa. It is shaping up to be a monumental upset. Match point. It's map point in the start of this best of 3. And it's not the entire series, guys, but hey, it puts them in good stead going into Chalet.
This is a massive round for Kira. It's a huge round for South Asia. They've only ever won South Asia as a region, 1 map in any best of 3 here in the APAC playoffs. That was stage 1. where Mercenaries gained 1 map against 7th Heaven. Unfortunately for Kira, they lost to 7th Heaven 0-2 in the match after that, so that was most unfortunate.
Attackers
But
need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
big round here. And this is Kira's... Oh, this is not, rather. This is not Kira's map pick, which I think only exclaims this result even more and makes it even more impressive, but a long way to go. It's another trophy stat defense here from FAV Gaming. No clash being brought on this occasion. No frost being brought on this occasion. They have switched things up. Number 2 looking to maybe still hold closet, but outside of that, I think they're going to play it a little bit differently and try to, again, stop Kira from taking this map control, which they are doing so well. They're just going for the same attack pattern every single time. It's predictable.
Yeah.
FAV can read into it, but they're still struggling to try and counter it. Oh, that's huge.
Envy. Oh, no way. Goodbye, Shin. And maybe hello, advantage Kira. We have not had a single game today in any of the matches go to OT. Not one. Will that continue here? Kira now with a one-man advantage, match point against the APAC North team of FAV Gaming, who would then require to win the following 2 maps of Chalet and Oregon if they are to continue in the lower bracket. Otherwise, talk about a start here for the APAC playoffs if Kira can pull off a huge upset.
No IQ on this occasion. No Echo either here for FAV, so Slayer's ability to gain intel won't really be that great, but he has a strong primary, and he can run and gun if needed. He has shown that so far, in fact going 9 and 7, so posting some really solid numbers on the board. But again, it has been such a well-rounded effort from Kira. It doesn't feel like we're shouting anyone's name constantly. We're not highlighting anyone's stats because they've been insane. It has been very well-rounded, and each player having an impact when required. Now, Envy rotating over towards the bedroom balcony here. Very pivotal part in this round. Number 2, again, trying to contest this side of the map, trying to deny the main wall from being opened. And number 2 is taking an incredible risk to go into this corner.
Yeah, and so far in this match, when FAV make any sort of risk, it doesn't usually pay off for them in the way that Kira have been able to take their risks. Minute and 5 seconds away from closing out this first map. Kira Esports, and to take a 1-map advantage over to Chalet. Blank had an opportunity to sit down number 2. He gets a second one. The Nitrocell from number 2. It misses, and he continues to just push. Ravaging towards him. Afro's got 2. All of a sudden, FAV maybe just back in the driver's seat here to send this one to overtime with a 4 versus 3 advantage. 35 seconds left in the round. Arthur still repelling outside. Needs Slayer and Envy to really help him out here unless he can get a good spray onto Razor. Got a bit of damage, drops down, and again, number 2 finds a pivotal kill. Kira Esports about to let this match point slip away from their grasp.
15 seconds left, and number 2 finds yet another, doubles down to close it out, and we are going to overtime.
And our first overtime of the APAC playoffs. Very fitting for how close this match has been. FAV Gaming's map pick, Kira Esports had the first match point. They let it slip though, guys, even after getting yet another opening pick, which has been just tremendously common right now for Kira in this game. Getting these opening picks, getting off to good starts. They don't quite close it out that time around, but in the majority of the rounds, they have been able to do it. Full credit to FAV Gaming, though, for being able to withstand a little bit of adversity there and to fight back. Afro, the pivotal player, picking up a quick double in that round, which really changed the match.
Yeah, the top-rated player throughout the regular season. We mentioned him earlier and the impact that he can have in these matches, and it really felt like if he did not go for that play, FAV lose that round and they lose the map. Number 2 was isolated far away from the rest of his team, but Afro found one, got the call from number 2, I would presume, that he was getting pressured from down below, and he just decided to absolutely send it over the edge of that balcony to find that pick over towards the long corridor. So a huge play, and finally a risk from FAV pays dividends. It was the opportunity, it was the moment, I guess, to go for such a play, and it did work out. Now, though, they need to find just a couple more rounds. Try to close this match out. It hasn't been a comfortable map for them. It hasn't been as comfortable as we expected, and I'm sure as probably they expected being their map pick. And that is full props to Kira, who are playing some really solid Siege.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to watch as well. This has been a very fascinating game, and honestly, it's more so to do with Kira and what they've been able to bring to this game. They're the ones setting the tempo with the way that they have been playing, quick on the attack, early. Once they get a bit of an ascendancy, they do kind of reel it back in a little bit, guys. They don't just play that crazy, chaotic, fast-paced Siege. They'll get that opening pick, and then they'll slow it down and play pretty methodical, which has been very fascinating to watch. FAV haven't really brought much aggression at all, though. They're just sitting back. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it hasn't, and that's obviously why we're in OT at the moment. And a big round here for AVG, and FAV, again, they're just going to sit on site.
We've seen a lot of awkward fights over towards red stairs here, and again, it's going to be pivotal. Afro looking to hold these stairs and the entry over towards 90 corridor. You can see number 2 in the background, holding the cross as well. No pressure really from below here from Kira. Instead, everybody mounting their attack from Trophy's side. Gemini sent out to just drone out this location, spot those ADS devices on the wall, but Afro pops up and finds the pick. That's huge.
Yeah, and then this has been something that hasn't happened for FAV so far here on Villa when they get these opening picks. It's been a rare commodity. But it doesn't always translate into immediate success. Although, Nitrocell elimination from number 2 on to Blank. 2-man advantage for FAV. Slayer, though, over towards red stairs, is able to get one back, but loses a teammate in the process, and that's Envy, the player who's been so instrumental for Kira's success in this game. Still 2-man advantage for FAV, just under a minute remaining.
Diffuser dropped for Kira. Not only do they need to collect it, but also need to find number 2, presumably without intel. As I say that, though, I thought maybe Slayer was a chance, but no. Number 2 gets that pick. 3 for the round. Can he make it 4? No. Deathamar finally cleans him up, but the damage has already been done.
We've seen crazy things happen before, guys, though. Is this maybe one for the highlight reels? If Deathamar can clutch the 1v3 with 25 seconds left, diffuser in hand. There's so many steps that he has to get through. Player in Vault, player inside of games. Not enough time either. He spots one, goes for the blind wallbang though. Player inside of Vault will get the kill. And it will also get match point now for FAV Gaming. Well, at least overtime match point, that is, Guz, and full credit to them. They did not buckle and crumble under the pressure. They've dealt with it, and now they find themselves in the favorable position.
Yeah, it was a 3-3 split on the attack and the defense for both teams in regulation. So very much a coin flip this next round, and you could also argue the result of this matchup, if it does end up going to the 15th and final round. Where will Kira defend? Looks like it will be Aviator and Games. That was the site that they first defended in regulation. That's where they started to roll some momentum. They didn't even get the opening kill in that round. It was actually Afro on that occasion, quite late into the round, in fact. So an indication that FAV were pretty slow on their roam clear. They'll be looking to try and speed things up on this occasion. Again, try and choke out site, choke out red stairs as well, quite swiftly to try and close out this round and close out the map.
Yeah, and prior to that round, we had seen a good amount of rounds really going back and forth, quite literally. Prior to FAV winning that 13th round, we have to go all the way back basically to the first 4 rounds of this game, where 2-0 to Kira and then 2 in a row to FAV. From that point onwards, it was literally 1 for 1 all the way up until that round by FAV. So they've been able to break that streak, break that trend, get 2 rounds in a row. Kira need to do the same thing again. And I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, as pointed out by Dino, but I'm pretty sure if Kira win the next 2, guys, This would be like a palindrome? What is it called? Palindrome?
You've lost me.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm sure Raven's sitting there like, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about.
I don't know what language you're speaking, but
I don't know.
What I will say,
I have to Google it now because now, yeah, palindrome. Yeah, it's basically like the start is the same as the finish and everything in the middle.
Well, thanks, Jake, for that
No
really
worries,
useful
guys. I don't know where
contribution
I'm
to the
going with that.
broadcast. That has just completely changed my outlook, not only on this matchup, but life
They
as a
have to
whole.
win 2 in a row. That's all I'm saying.
That is true. We know that is for a fact. And if they do manage to pull this off, it would be a huge result again for Kira and the greater South Asian region, who are looking to make a name for themselves here in APAC. Slow start here for FAV. That's a good sign for Kira. 1 minute into the round, and then Taipon only now entering towards a trophy. Now there is a player, a defender, aggressive over towards top red. But they'll fall back. Kira not wanting to contest that and not wanting to drop a pick early.
Bomb located by attackers.
And Kira haven't really faced too much adversity in this particular match. It's mostly been FAV on the back foot. FAV constantly having to keep up with Kira. So for the first time, really, Kira actually behind the 8-ball here. And if FAV do find an opening pick, I would not be surprised to see things really come undone for Kira. And that's probably why Kira's playing quite passive right now here on the defense compared to their first half. If you think back, guys, they were very aggressive, finding these opening picks. Lots of runouts, lots of vaults. And yet they're not really going to try and do that here. Why? Because suddenly it's overtime match point. Suddenly a mistake is so impossible to maybe come back from. But it's Arthav who's able to find the opening pick for Kira and gets them back on track as to usually how things have been going for them in this match.
Yeah, using that rotate behind the bar in towards long to find that pick. That's huge over towards 90. Makes it a real hot spot now for FAV if they want to try and take it. That said, number 2 is already in, getting dirty on the wall, using that flamethrower to prevent anyone from the defense holding inside of Vault. Of course, it is a double-edged sword, and these angles could be counter-peaked as they are now by the defense, and FAV feeling hot off the back of that opening kill. Not afraid to peek back in response. 30 seconds remaining. 30 seconds standing between FAV taking this map or sending it to the 15th round.
Yeah, this game thoroughly deserves a 15th round to decide these two teams here on Villa. Final peaks, final checks, and eventually at some point FAV are going to have to make the push in, and they do through Afro. Opening pick onto Blank. Nice little swing though from Death Amar. 2 versus 3 in favor of Kira. The flank from Imbi at the last second. That's Taipon sat down. Same with Razor. We go to a 15th round, guys. Well executed by Kira Esports defensively. One more round to separate these two teams here on Villa.
Really well done by Kira. They played the objective really, really well, and props to them for selecting that objective as well. Tactically, a really strong call. FAV, honestly, looked pretty shocking attacking that objective. They did on their first attempt over in regulation when Kira won it, and again, Kira really being the thorn in their side. They weren't even doing anything special. We weren't seeing that crazy red extension. It was really just a FAV going for that pick over towards long. That was one pick that was a little bit sketchy. And then it was just a couple of wild flanks. I don't know how FAV are allowing that to take place. Nomad isn't banned. Drones maybe not being pre-placed correctly. Either way, Kira playing aggressive. It works out for them. And we go to round 15 between these two. Can't believe I'm saying it, but that is the fact.
Yeah, and it's a deserved one as well, isn't it? Because it's just been such an incredible game of Siege, both of these two teams. Someone has to, of course, walk away with the map. Fortunately, this is also why best of threes is such a good thing, guys, because this is not the end of the series. Whoever loses this will at least then have, you know, another opportunity to win 2 in a row and win the best of 3. Whoever wins it, though, puts themselves in the driver's seat. But number 2 has been sensational, 15 and 12. I think for Kira, it's been a very well-spread performance. But it's definitely been the Afro and number 2 show, I think, for FAV Gaming. And they are going to need them to go big one more time here in the 15th round if FAV are going to pull out their map pick.
Setting ourselves up for a really tight best of 3. And I was thinking in my head then maybe both of these teams, one of which may be spending too many gas tickets early here and they could deflate in the rest of the BO3, but both of these teams do have quite a bit of experience. FAV over towards in the Japan League. recently playing some best of threes. Of course, Kira to make it here to the playoffs. A lot of best of threes through that closed qual. So I think they both have been tested with their endurance, and don't expect things to slow down too quickly, but all focus now, of course, here on round 15. It's 5 versus 5, and Kira again, like they have on every other occasion, going for a map sweep, a map take, however you want to frame it. South to north. So far uncontested by the defense. Slayer can use his scanner to spot out some of this utility. Again, no Echo being selected by Kira, no Valkyrie
Attackers have
either.
located a bomb.
But we have seen Slayer frag out.
Attackers dropped the
I think it's pretty evident right now that this is going to be the kind of round that just turns into a bloodbath with 30 seconds left. Whoever can find this opening pick, it's going to be a critical one. Have that man advantage late in the round, and those trades start to ring out.
A bomb has been located.
That red stairs position, it has been so valuable in this game so far. And it feels like we've got, what, a minute 10 left remaining, and it's first contact, finally. Vulcan shield blown up. Number 2's got to be careful inside a stat. Afro taking a bit of damage. 1 minute left.
The floor is lava over towards stat as those Vulcan shields are taken down. Really good utility clearance here from Kira. Looking to maybe try and pinch from an alternate angle, but K-Razor's on point. Ready and waiting for that rotation. It's a FAV. Keep an eye on him on the Nomad to maybe go for a big play. The rest of Kira, though, positioned
Set up.
over towards top red. Blank ready and waiting as well to try and go for something big.
They've got a good bit of a ping here. I think that's number 2. He's stuck in there. Cornered Blank. They don't want to allow him to get out, but he has been able to weasel his way out of that situation. Oh, Deathlamar! He just gets caught by number 2 as he was coming out. Typon with a big kill onto Athav as well. 2-man advantage now for FAV Gaming. Gas Babes go out, but it's the kills that are flowing in favor of FAV.
15 seconds
Only
left.
2 players remain. Make it 1. Blank, unfortunately, staring down the barrel of defeat here on Villa. What a flawless round from FAV Gaming. They flex their muscles at the end when it matters the most. In the 15th round, they go up 1-0 in this best of 3.
FAV put the foot down. They win narrowly their map pick, but we've set ourselves up for a cracking best of 3. And FAV, I'm sure, were sweating bullets throughout that map. Not convincing by any stretch. And in fact, that last round, sure it was flawless, but it was off the back of some pretty wild timing there.